So we're back and we're going to continue with our manual means of doing some photo retouching on here. So to begin with the manual layer selected, we're going to come up here to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. Okay. Now, there's a number of ways you can use levels. You can use these sliders to bring this in like this and like this to even it out. Or, I'm going to cancel that. You can go to Image, Adjustment, and Levels, and you can find where your white point is, your black point is, and your neutral gray. So to begin with, here's our white dropper, our black dropper, and our neutral gray. So I'm going to go to the eyedropper that sets the white point, and right in here I'm going to say that that's maybe white. Might be too much, but we can change that. Then we'll go to the black, and I'm going to say right here is where the black is. Okay. And the neutral gray, I'm going to say is here. Oh, well, that looks pretty bad. All right, so I'm going to cancel this. And we will start over again. Let's go to Image and Levels. Okay. Now, that works really good if you've got a pure white. This is not a pure white here, you know, like a man's shirt or something. And if you've got some pictures from the 70s that have been faded, this is a wonderful way to restore the pictures. So I'm going to just move this in, the white in here, and this is the black. I'll move that in. And let's see how this works here. Okay. So there we have it. And we'll say OK on this. It looks a little red to me. We can go to Image and Adjustments, and we can work on the color balance here. If it has too much red, then we want to do the opposite, which is add a little cyan. You see? That does look better, doesn't it? Okay, and you can work on the highlights in that way too. Let's move the highlights to be a little more cyan, and the shadows. I think the shadows are okay the way they are. Okay, so we'll move on now. So we've used the levels, and we've also used some color balance on this. Now, what we'd like to do is give a little highlight to the statue. So what we'll do is we'll come to the dodge tool here, which, as you know, lightens things. Okay. And I'm going to make the brush about, well, that's too big. I'm going to make it about 30. You have to decide for yourself. And I'm going to make sure that highlights is chosen here. And I think 15% exposure is fine. And I'm just going to go over the highlights of this statue here, like this. You see how it just brings out the highlights in it, just that little bit. All right, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to stop there now. The next thing I want to do is change the color of one of these flowers. And we do that by going to the square marquee selection tool. or the rectangular. And we're going to draw a rectangle or make a selection around this tulip here. Okay? And we'll go to Image, Adjustments, and way down here at the bottom it says Replace Color. We're going to go to Replace Color. Now, we have three droppers here. One is to select color over here, and this is to add to our selection, and this is to subtract from the selection. So I'm going to go with my eyedropper tool right on this black box because it has the selection that I have there. And there's part of the tulip. I'll come to the eyedropper tool with the plus now, and I'm going to keep clicking around this tulip until I have the area that I want to color differently. Okay, so here we have down here, we're going to replace it. Here's the color we have now on here, but here's the color that we're going to replace it with. Now, I can use the hues here like this, and you can see it's changing even as we do this. Or you can come here and double click on this color, and you can use the color picker to make colors. Let's just say OK. All right, I think that looks rather lovely. You can also increase the saturation or the lightness or the darkness of it if you like. When you get it the way you want, click on OK. Now we still have a selection over this, so we're going to go to Select and Deselect, and that removes the selection. Now the last thing we're going to do here is saturate these colors, all of this. Because it is a garden and it should be bright, and you probably look at some of these Miami programs and they are very saturated. So come to the Judge tool, and underneath at the bottom is the Sponge tool. And what you do is just go over where I should tell you, make sure that Saturated is selected. And we're going to do this with a 50% flow. And just go over all of these flowers and the greenery. Oh, isn't that lovely? Look at how it just comes to life. Oh, how beautiful. Look at that. Now, you could do it at a lower flow if you want. But I think this is nice. All right, so there we have our flowers. So let's look at our original. Let's come here to the Layers panel and turn it off. There's our original. Here's our manual. Okay, let's check our manual with variations. There's variations. There's manual. Let's check our automate. There's automate and there's manual. Which do you like? There's many ways you can photo retouch, and you can try any way you want, anything that gets the result that you want. So I'm going to ask you now to put your name on this. And let's see, we'll make this pretty small. 8 point. Your name. Ooh, I know why that's underneath there. We have to move this up to the top. There we go. And I just clicked on that layer and dragged it up to the top. And then you go to Save It, do a Save As. and put it in the Dropbox and you'll get a point for it. Well, coming back to show you the before and after. Bye.